Hey guys, this is Dr. Subramnani, and with me today I have the comparison for all these three places, US, UK and Australia, where you could go and practice as a GP or specialize further in your training. So I'll divide this video into separate contents comparing each and every aspect for all these three countries, and with me you can note down what is more relevant for you. So anyway, let's not further delay it, and let's start with our first category, which is the eligibility criteria. Like, are you even eligible to practice in these countries? So let's first start with US. To be eligible to do residency in US, so you cannot practice as a GP in US, you need to do residency, which is after your MBBS. So to be able to do that, currently your school must be recognized by the WHO, World Health Organization, and if that is recognized at the WHO Medical Directory of Schools, you are eligible to take the USMLE exams and participate in the match and ultimately do residency or your postgraduate training in the US. However, this rule is going to change from 2024. And I have an Instagram reel about it, which I'll link below. Basically, your agencies must be recognized by the WFME, accredited by the WFME. Basically, for example, in India, the NMC has to be recognized by WFME, and if you are in a medical school in India, you can go and practice in the US. For Australia, you should just have a medical degree from a medical school which is recognized by the AMC or the Australian Medical Council, and you can find a list on their website. And for PLAB, again, it's the similar criteria to US. Your medical school should be in the World Health Organization Directory of Medical School. So now if you're wondering how should I prepare for all these three exams, I have just the right video for you, because today's video sponsor Academically does just that. So if you're a doctor or a medical student thinking to apply to one of these countries and thinking where should I start or how to prepare for the US exam or the Australia exam or the UK exam, Academically is just the right place for you, because they will help you train well for these exams. They will provide you with all the materials, the coaching and everything you need. And not only that, if you are also a pharmacist watching this, or a nurse, or anyone in the healthcare field, they can also help you get to these places as a healthcare professional. For example, the NCLX exam for nurses, or there's an exam for or pharmacists, on different exams for different healthcare professionals. So Academically can help you clear all these exams, take part in your application building, visa processing and everything. So do check them out and comment down below where are you in your journey, and I'm sure they will help you out, and you can use this code for 15% off in one of their courses for USMLE PLAB or the Australian course. So let's move to the next segment, which is the exam format. So let's start with US first. Again, the exam format in US is actually you have to take 3-step exams, out of which 2 of these step exams, step 1 and step 2, should be before residency. Step 3 can be given during residency as well. So basically, after you have to take step 1 and step 2 and an English exam. So these 3 exams, and apply for residency. And then there is one more exam, step 3, USMLE step 3, which you take during residency, although you can also take it before residency. If you're an IMG, I would suggest you take it before residency to increase your chances of matching in a postgraduate position, because it shows that you're competent enough to clear that exam as well, and they will have no doubts but take you. Like, it adds to your CV. So talking more about these exams, step 1 is a preclinical exam. So it has all the preclinical subjects like anat, phys, biochem, path, microbiology, immunology, and so on. And you can actually take this exam while you're in medical school. So if you're a medical student watching this, step 1 you can take right now. So step 1 you can take in medical school. Step 2 you can also take in medical school, but it is the clinical subjects which you will be covering in the in the final years of your medical school. So in and around medical school, just after graduating would be the perfect time to take step 2, or in your final year of med school. And after that, you need to take an English exam to show your English proficiency. For example, OET for medicine, you must take that and also obtain a score in that. And after these 3 exams are done, you can apply for residency. There are also other things you must do for your application to make yourself a strong candidate. For example, you need to go to the US to do some observerships, or get some US clinical experience and get letters of recommendation. So this all is also recommended, but just strictly talking about the exams, it's step 1, step 2, and an English exam, and then step 3 is, again, you can give it in residency. It's not a requirement right now before going to the US. That's it. Talking about the Australian exam. So Australia also has 2 exams. So it's called CAT MCQ exam first, CAT being the computer adaptive test. And the other one is an OSCE exam, which is an in-person exam, and you'll have to travel to Australia to do that. So let's talk more about what does these, what do these exams contain and how you can navigate yourself through it. So the CAT is a 3.5 hour computer based exam. It's MCQ format on the clinical subjects, not the preclinical. And you have to take this MCQ exam. You can take it from anywhere. And the OSCE exam, which is the second exam you have to take for Australia, you must go there, and there are, I feel, about 16 stations. So you go to every station, and in each station you get 10 minutes. So out of these 16, I think 14 are graded and there are also 4 rest stations. So this is the basic format for the Australian exam. And next come to the third, which is UK, the PLAB. So PLAB also has PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. And I think from 2024, it's going to be UKMLA, like PLAB is going to be changed to UKMLA. There is no definite criteria if the exam format will change. It will remain the same. So you needn't worry about preparing something different for UKMLA right now. But currently it's PLAB. So there is PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. Again, PLAB 1 is the clinical subjects, not the preclinical like USMLE. PLAB 1 is an MCQ based exam on clinical subjects, and again it's a 3-hour exam, whereas Australia one was 3.5 hours. So this is 3-hour exam. It contains 180 questions, so you get 1 minute per question. And PLAB 2 is, and again, an OSCE based exam where you have to travel to the UK and do a similar exam like I explained for the Australia part. And it's an OSCE based exam, and once you pass that, then you can apply for a job or a GP position in the UK. And again, I think it also has 16 stations, but each station lasts 8 minutes, and I think Australia is 10 minutes. So let's talk about the passing criteria for these exams, because this will be very critical in you deciding for one or the other. So talking about US, to pass the US exam, step 1, which I talked about, is just pass fail. Currently, I think it's 196 passing, like the passing mark. So if you get 196 or above, you will be declared pass. You will not be given a score. So it's just pass fail, step 1. Whereas step 2 is a graded exam. You must score, like if you pass it, you will get a score. Even if you fail, you'll get a score. But it matters because this score will be sent or it will be a part of your application. And once you apply for a residency position, this score will be taken into consideration. Whereas step 1 would be just written as pass. So students must work really hard to get as high as a score possible for the step 2 exam. And again, the third one, which is the English exam, that is also scored the OET, but the pass, like how much score you get, really doesn't matter as long as you get above the threshold and pass the English exams. And I think you should get a minimum of 350 in reading, listening and speaking, and 300 in writing in OET medicine for the US. And Same for the Australia exam. The minimum passing score is just 50%. So the computer-based exam is of 500 marks, and you must obtain 250 or higher to pass the exam, and you must have 10 out of the 14 stations passed, graded well in your OSCE exam. So I said there are 16 stations and 14 are graded. Out of these 14, 10 you must pass really well to clear that exam. And for PLAB, so PLAB 1 doesn't really have a set passing score, as it depends on the people who you are taking the exam with, and it's an average, but this average comes around 120 or 130 out of a score of 200. And PLAB 2, again, it's an OSCE based exam, and again then you have 16 stations and you must pass a minimum of 10 stations, just like the Australian exam. So now let's go to our next segment, which is the number of attempts. So this is where it really gets interesting, and I'm sure many of you can decide if you need one or the other based on this. So for USMLE, there are a maximum of 4 attempts for each step, but actually there's just one attempt, if I must tell you, because if you fail an exam, it gets added to your application and it shows that you have failed this exam, and it kind of makes your application a bit inferior to the others who have passed this exam in one go. So yeah, I would say it has 4 attempts, but technically I think you just get 1 attempt, because this score will stick with you for your life, and even if you fail, even that will stick with you for your life. Whereas for the Australia exam and the PLAB exam, again you have several attempts. Like in Australia, I think you don't even have a limited number of attempts. You can give it as many times as you like. But for PLAB, I think you have some 4 or 5 attempts, if I'm not sure. I think 4 attempts, and after that you can take more attempts, but you have to show some competency in the medical field for like 1 year for you to get an additional attempt. But the good part here is that your attempts don't show in your application. Like it won't show that you have taken the PLAB exam like 3 times and you passed in the 4th attempt, and so it makes your application inferior. Whereas for USMLE, it will make your application inferior. So let me just say this: for US, just have 1 attempt, and for Australia and UK, you have multiple attempts, and this can be a deciding factor. Now let's talk about the cost of these exams. So I'm strictly talking about the cost for these exams. Now you have to understand the cost actually will be much more for the whole process of getting there and specializing or becoming a GP, because I'm not including the fare tickets, the clinical experience you must go there and you should do, and even that costs, and the materials which you will need for this exam, you'll purchase those. So just talking about the exam, like the exam, I'm going to tell you the cost. So for step 1 and step 2, which you must take before to apply for the US residency match, it is around $985 each, and depending on the country where you're taking this exam, it differs because an additional fee is applied. So let's say about $1,000 each for step 1 and step 2. And for Australia exam, it is around $2,000 Australian dollars for the computer-based exam, and around 4,000 Australian dollars for the OSCE exam. And again, you have to travel to Australia for this OSCE exam. And for PLAB, it's around 250 British pounds for part 1, which is PLAB 1, and around 900 British pounds for PLAB 2. So again, this does not include the visa, the airfare, which you'll have to take to go there and take the exam, etc. So this is just the basic cost of this exam, and this will also depend, this cost will change because of the airfare and all, depending when you take the exam. So what about after the prospects after taking these exams, or what can you do once you have cleared all of this. So for US, you enter into residency training. So there's nothing as GP. You cannot just get a job there. After all these exams which I've talked about, you can take part in the match. So the match is a process where you try and obtain a residency position for yourselves, and you apply to programs. They see your applications, they call you for interview, and once you match into a program, and then you do your PG training or the residency. So for example, in internal medicine it's 3 years. For some surgical positions it can be 6 or 7 years. So basically you have to go through the residency route directly after clearing this exam. Whereas for Australia, if you have to be a doctor and you must be offered employment, and then after that you can apply for your conditional registration. So once you're employed, you have to apply for a conditional registration, and after that you can further explore the aspects of postgraduate training. But first you must get employment. For PLAB, the route is a bit longer. So after you clear, you can apply for a job right away for a general practitioner. But there are steps to do that. So in the UK pathway, usually through the PLAB pathway, you get into FY2 year, not the FY1. So you are expected to do the first year in your home country, which can be considered as an internship. So you must be done with internship in your home country, and then you enter into the FY2 year in PLAB. And again, the post-residency, so the postgraduate options, the route is really it's a bit different, and we can discuss that in another video if you're really interested about the UK pathway. So there's like core training, and to become a GP, to become an internal medicine specialist or a surgeon, it's different criteria. So the residency route might be longer in UK and Australia, whereas in US it's like directly you go to the residency. But matching in the US to get a residency residency position is tough. The cost of getting through these exams is more in US. So really it's for you to decide where do you stand. And personally I would say that the USMLEs are the more tougher exam compared to the Australia and the UK ones, because I have some friends at these places, and talking to them and getting their perspective also, I feel USMLE is the more tougher exam. So in any way, you can check out Academically, which is today's sponsors, to help you prepare for these exams and breeze past through this residency process. And if you really like this video and you like this comparison for USMLE and AMC and PLAB, and you would like to see more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click a like on this video, and don't forget to comment where would you like to go, and let Academically know that they could help you. And don't forget to get that 15% off if you do plan to take one of their courses. Thank you. Bye-bye.